All right, it's up to 7 o'clock. You all ready? All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December the 4th Design Review Board meeting. First up on this evening's agenda is roll call.
Board Member Holscher,
Here.
Vice Chair Rosner,
Here.
Chair Chong,
Here.
and Board Members Kim and O'Dorsio are absent.
All right, thank you. Now is on the agenda are oral communications for anyone wishing to address the Design Review Board for any items that are not on this evening's agenda. So if you have anything that you'd like to discuss that's not on this evening's agenda, please come forward. Or if you're on the Zoom call, use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the screen to we'll let you into the room. All right, seeing none, we'll go to staff briefing.
Thank you, Chair Chong and members of the Design Review Board, Neil Toft, Interim Planning Director. Just one update from last night's City Council meeting. The council did adopt the 2025 building code with additional Cal Green Tier 1 and energy standards, some local amendments to energy standards. We do feel the new codes that and the local amendments we've adopted are about as strong in terms of energy conservation and green standards as can be applied for our jurisdiction under the state regulations. So we're pleased with that progress. We still do need to submit to the California Building Standards Commission and the California Energy Commission to get their final blessing on the code, but we're confident that it should be accepted. Other news, starting next Monday, are the new Community Development Director, Sherry Means, will begin employment, will be coming into Sausalito and taking over. I'll be transitioning to a more transitory role, helping Sherry get acquainted with the department and things that are going on and so on. So I'll be kind of in for some part-time and probably some very specific project management work going on, but pleased to continue with. It's been great working with Tiburon and the team, and looking forward to continuing that. I think Sherry will be a great add and look forward to introducing her to you guys in the near future. In fact, I believe she'll be coming to the holiday party. So if you're attending that, you'll see her there. Okay, that's it.
Excellent. Thank you. And we appreciate you coming in and helping us during our transition period between planners. Next up is the minutes, adoption of the minutes from the November 20th meeting. Any comments or do we have a motion to adopt those minutes? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. So is there any public comment on the adoption of the minutes from the November 20th meeting? If you're on the Zoom screen, you can use the raise hand feature. Seeing none, adoption of the minutes, a motion to adopt the minutes.
I make a motion to adopt the minutes.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. And with that, we move to our public hearings. We have 2 public hearings on this evening's agenda. The format for our public hearings is the applicant will have up to 20 minutes to present, at which point we might have some questions, but we will open it up to the public. Each member of the public has up to 3 minutes, and then the applicant will then be provided 5 minutes to address any of the concerns that might have been raised. So with that, we move to the first item on this evening's agenda, 6 St. Gabriel Court. If the applicant could come forward, please.
The applicant will be joining us via Zoom tonight.
Okay.
So I updated them to a panel, so it may take just a second for.
Yeah, I'm here now.
Since we are remote, just let us know when you want us to move forward with the presentation, please.
Okay. I also have my friend Nick there as well, who can assist with moving forward the presentation. But either way, just someone, since there's no technical issues, I can go through the presentation if someone can just move it along. So I'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, board members, and thank you for your time. I'm here to present our safety-driven deck replacement and the associated rear setback variance for 6 St. Gabriel Court. Before I continue, I just wanted to acknowledge that I would have preferred to be at this meeting in person. This project is important to us, and we had fully intended to attend, but we're on a long scheduled family trip in Hawaii, so I'm joining remotely. I do have my friend there to assist if needed. Thank you for your understanding. So can you move on to the next slide, please? My wife and I have lived in Tehran for the past 10 years, and we're now raising our 2 young kids here who attend local schools. This community is an important part of our family's life. We approached this project very thoughtfully with the existing deck identified as unsafe by the town of Tehran. Our priority has been to design a replacement that is safe, functional, and functional for our family, and as considered as possible of the surrounding homes in the natural hillside. The town's resale inspection report, which we just got recently, determined that the existing deck is structurally unsafe and must be fully removed and rebuilt. And because our yard sits 1 story below the main living level, this deck is the only functional outdoor space connected to where our family actually spends time day to day. That's the necessity driving this proposal. Can you please go to the next slide? So the staff report does a pretty thorough job of summarizing the proposal, so I won't repeat those details. Instead, I just want to offer a clearer picture of the encroachment. The first purple line on the left, the one towards the right, represents the required 25-foot rear setback. You'll see kind of the proposed deck that's hatched, and then the existing building right now. The second purple line represents the 19-foot line, which is the 25 minus the 6-foot allowance that decks are permitted to project into the setback without a variance. So you would see that I made the area that's in the encroachment dark. Only the area beyond that 19-foot line past the second line is encroaching into the required setback. When we calculated it, that encroaching area came out to approximately 45 square feet, which is really less than 9% of the total deck area. So although the deck does become larger, because we need to rebuild a safe, functional outdoor space at the living level, the actual encroaching portion is very small and well-defined area created by the angle of the property line, not really by extending the deck outward toward that area. Would you please go on to the next slide, please? So a neighbor had raised privacy as a concern. We fully understand the importance of privacy on hillside lots. This photo from our deck shows the current condition. There's already limited downward visibility into portions of the downsloping property. At the same time, from their yard and driveway, there is direct upward visibility into our kitchen and living room. The concern in the letter relates to someone standing at the far edge of the deck, the proposed deck, looking directly down into their property. That line of sight already exists today, and it's not really meaningfully increased by this rebuild. More importantly, the next slide shows a design enhancement I'm offering that actually improves privacy compared to the existing condition. Would you be able to move on to the next slide, please? This is a photo from the neighbor's deck, shows the existing upward visibility into our living space. And from inside our home, we currently have downward visibility into parts of the yard. So the privacy exposure today runs in both directions due to the steep grade change that we have between the 2 properties. To address this, what I'm proposing is to extend the same railing profile already on the house. You can kind of see this in this photo. In some areas, you have like 75% of that railing be stucco, and then like a metal railing above it. We proposed full glass in our plans, but if we go with 75% stucco and then just a glass on top, similar to what's there now, but just replacing the metal with the glass, along the portion that's closest to the neighbor, then that would create kind of what I've drawn up here. And so the railing update, by the way, is a new concession we're offering specifically in regards to the privacy concerns that were raised. It wasn't in the original plan set, but I'm fully willing to incorporate it as a condition of approval if we were to get to that. As the shaded illustration shows, this railing creates a vertical privacy buffer. And because their deck and driveway sit 2 to 3 stories below our deck level, the solid railing meaningfully reduces both our downward visibility into their property and their upward visibility into our living area. So this rebuild actually enhances privacy for both properties. So I think you can kind of see that the areas that are colored are what would be blocked. So now we won't even be able to see down through most of the windows, and they won't be able to see up. So it would actually create more of a privacy. Would you be able to go on to the next slide, please? This is just the other view that the neighbor has shared from their driveway. Similar concept. Currently you can see outside the windows into the driveway. You can see up into the windows. Once the railing is covered, you can't see either way from at least the living area at our property. Would you be able to go into? Yeah, thank you. These are a few examples of similar rear setback variances approved by the board in recent years. These are not shown to suggest that precedent dictates approval, but rather to illustrate that the types of conditions present here, steep downslope, lack of usable outdoor space at the living level, minimal encroachment, have been consistently recognized as valid grounds for a variance. Our situation aligns with those same findings: a safety-driven rebuild, a functional need created by the topography, and a very small encroachment. Would you be able to go on to the next slide, please? In summary, with the more opaque railing that I just proposed, privacy actually improves compared to today. The deck replacement is required for safety, and the proposal is consistent with prior approvals and supported by staff. We've been part of this community for 10 years, and we value what makes the Bronx special: the strong community and the ability for homes to safely enjoy the views. A functional deck is essential for our family, given the steep grade change. Thank you for your time and consideration. One scheduling note, not to rush the board, but simply for awareness. Because the deck must be rebuilt for safety, it has no structural integrity at this point. And since our kids use this space, timing matters for us. We're ready to submit for a building permit this month. If the item were continued to the next meeting, the review cycle would likely push us into February, delaying when we can make the deck safe again. If the board is comfortable with the proposal overall, we would really appreciate an approval with conditions so that we can work with staff on any refinements rather than having to wait for a continuance. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now we're going, first of all, any questions before we open up to the public? Okay.
I have a question. Can you walk us through, I'm just curious to, were there any constraints around pushing more of concentrating more of the deck in the center of the building versus you're pushing out, towards that encroachment? I just want to understand if there were any constraints or if it was more just a preference or anything like that.
I wouldn't say there were any constraints in the way you're probably thinking about. If you're looking at the building, the left side is the kitchen, dining kitchen area, and then the right side would be the living area. So the intent was to have kind of a larger deck coming out the kitchen for use, but no constraints beyond that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. With that, we'll open it up to the public. If you could come forward and use the microphone, and we just ask for your name and your address, and keep your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, board members. My name is Hayden Pace. I'm the resident that lives at 133 Lyford Drive, which is the property that deck encroachment. Sorry, the microphone.
I'm sorry.
Is that better? Sorry. Okay. I am the resident of 133 Lyford, which is the property immediately to the southwest of the property that was just on the screen there. The deck encroachment here
points directly at my property. I've submitted a letter. I don't want to go over the entirety of it with only 3 minutes left, so I'm really just going to expand upon it a bit. First off, I appreciate the need to replace a deck. I really do. And I think that if it needs to be replaced for safety, that's great. But that doesn't create a need for a variance. It could easily be replaced the way it has been for decades. What we're talking about here is a personal preference to expand the deck. I want to draw attention when you look at the photos to the fact that in these photos, it shows the elevation differential. That elevation differential makes it nearly impossible for me to mitigate against any privacy concerns. It's one directional. Once this deck is expanded up there, I can't grow a tree or have bushes or anything else to restore the privacy. It's also not just visual lines here that are at play. It's also the audio, the sound intrusion that occurs by moving the focal point of the deck from where it is now to literally right next to my property. As well, something that's not revealed from the photos, but I'll just describe this is my master bedroom that we're talking about. That's right underneath where this deck is pointing. So I appreciate the applicant's desire to put an underside to this, but I don't believe that that does increase privacy at all. When you're looking at these photos, bear in mind that where those flags are is where the sort of top half of people could be. So you could picture a human being in there. And if you look at the photo where there is a human being in there, they're looming right over the property. I think the higher elevation makes the sight lines downward very problematic. It makes the spread of sound more problematic. I also don't have any ability to control or mitigate the issues there. I appreciate the willingness to put stucco there. That's the way the current design is, and that was intelligently done decades ago. And you'll also know that there's a cutout there to avoid this intrusion from decades ago. So I think that current status, which could be replaced, would be more than sufficient. The applicant hasn't presented a factual or legal basis for a variance here. This is, again, just personal preference. And if you balance the equities here, there are other opportunities that can be explored. And in fact, I've had an opportunity to speak with the homeowner about this, and we had looked into some other opportunities, such as what Board Member Rosner was maybe even hinting at, which is could the deck be expanded out in a different direction that's not right at my property? I'm all for the expansion of a deck and him getting to enjoy that view and enjoy that with his family. The problem is I've lived in that house and he hasn't lived in his house yet. I can tell you, I can hear a normal conversation from that deck as is. It'll be
We're at 3
a
minutes.
little worse. Sorry, my apologies. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there any additional comment on this application? All right, if you're in the Zoom call and you want to comment on this application, if you could use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the Zoom screen.
I see no hands raised.
Okay. And then with that, the applicant, will turn it back to the applicant that has 5 minutes to address any of the concerns that were raised.
No, and I appreciate the concerns that have been brought up. I think I try to address them in my presentation. One thing I was going to note is that the replacement of the deck from a cost perspective is pretty much the same regardless of what size you do it, just because of the way the deck was designed. It's using cantilevered beams that go directly into the building. So those would not be used anymore. So we'd have to essentially do a brand new deck with new footings and everything. That's essentially why the cost is high for replacing the deck, regardless of replacing it as is or at a larger size. The other thing, as far as the discussions go, to address Board Member Rosner's comment, if going back to the timing perspective, if the board feels that the appropriate, shape for this deck is more towards the middle, that would be fine. It's just the issue is like continuing this, pushing us back into February, then we're back into probably March for building permit. I'd ideally would appreciate setting some guidelines for me to figure it out with the staff, if that's even a possibility, and staff could confirm if that is or not.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add before we close the public portion of the of the hearing?
Not for me. No, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, with that, we will close the public portion of the hearing, bring it back to the board.
I just have a
Oh,
question
yeah.
for staff.
Oh,
I don't see FAR anywhere on any of these. Do you have it handy?
I do not, this isn't changing the
Yeah.
FLURY ratio, so I can look to see if I can find that really
Okay,
quickly.
I was just trying to understand the,
There's no additional.
but it's the history of the lot coverage variance is kind of what I understand.
Okay.
But if you don't
Uh,
have it handy, it's fine.
Regarding the lot coverage, this house was constructed prior to the incorporation of lot coverage. So it is already exceeding the current standard, which is 15%. But that's because when it was constructed, it predates current
Okay.
zoning. But I can look,
It's fine.
I don't know if I'll be able to find it for you right now.
Okay.
To lead us off?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I went up there, walked around the side, and I also went to the neighbor's house, walked around. Nobody answered any doors, so I kind of just ambled around the side of it. I don't have any issues with creating a large enough space for an outdoor, occupiable area. I'm a fan for that. I'm not a fan of creating a need for variance to have something that is going to be a gathering place for people in the setback when it is over this other property, because that creates conversation. I don't see it as a hardship. I think that while I want the owners to be able to have that larger deck, I think it needs to be in the middle. It can protrude into the 6 feet, into the side, into the setback, right? But I don't think we need to grant a variance for that, because it really is pushing out to the side over, and you can see it from down below, and I think it can go elsewhere and be out of a variance.
Okay. Alex?
I feel so I had to go to the both properties, and I was able to go to the neighbors and have a look from his deck, and I'm I'm largely in agreement with you. I'm staring. I'm looking. My only pause is, I don't. Given the orientation of the house and given where the setback lines are drawn, I worry a little bit that you're still going to wind up with a variance.
But you can come 6 feet past this, so you could just come in. like
Okay,
that.
this is the 6 foot.
That is I think that's the 25. You can come straight out,
Yeah.
across and back.
Yeah. I think it'll be better. I think shifting it to the middle will very much ease, I think, the issues with the neighbor. I see why. I see why they designed it the way they did, just from a flow perspective and the floor plan perspective. But I would like us to try and be as objective as possible when granting these variances. And I think too often we do encourage, especially with the lot coverage, we encourage, use of outdoor space, especially on these challenging lots. And often we don't have alternatives and grant the variance. And I think objectively there is an alternative to get a very usable, very large deck just shifted towards the middle. So I think we should discuss after Chair Chong shares his feelings of how to do that from that. But that's how I was about.
Yeah, I mean, I was able to get out to the property. I also had a chance to visit the neighbor and see it from the perspective of the photo, and it's I think very representative. And I mean, I think in any of these situations, right, you try to be in the shoes, first of the applicant, because that's the first thing that comes across our desk, and like I absolutely see like why someone would want to put additional outdoor space, upstairs on that property, and then you put yourself in the shoes of a neighbor. and the impact they have. And like, it is a real and serious impact. Like, it is hanging right over kind of their primary outdoor space. And I think it's, for me, it's all about the size, right? That the size of the deck now prohibits anything from happening over there. It's like, you're not going to put tables or couches or chairs or anything. Conversations, if they're had, they're going to be quick because you're standing on the kind of just this, strip of a deck. And I think that's, from a design standpoint, I'm, I mean, the reason we have these setbacks, right, is to prevent people from being too close and having to deal with some of the privacy and noise issues. And so I think that the way it's situated, like the center does move it out of that space. You wouldn't see it. It would prevent some of the sound from coming through. I'm always hesitant to, I mean, I hear the request from the applicant. I'm always hesitant to, oh, let's just mark it here and we'll draw it here and do it for them without kind of seeing exactly where those story poles go up. But I also not necessarily against that conversation if that's what we want to have.
Yeah, I think that, again, it makes sense from a design standpoint, why they just wanted to kind of run it straight
Yeah,
and
I-
the house tucks back, so why not? But again, creating
In,
this.
in a
for
vacuum,
all
like
the
a
reasons you guys
house
just
with
said.
no neighbors, that's the absolutely what they presented is the right design,
Yeah,
right?
but as Alex said too, it's like property by property, we take a look at these, and granting this variance is going to impact negatively the downhill neighbor, period.
Yeah.
So get it as much into the setback as it's allowed to be, which is 6 feet, so they can come to 19. And, pull up, it's gonna have to have a jog instead of straight corner. And
That's, I do want to, in terms of whether we give, whether we make conditions or whether we give guidance. I generally would not be like blanket opposed to a setback variance. Seeing, it's really hard for me to understand, like, if you push, I just, I can't, this isn't to scale. So I'd be, I think ideally, but you may hit this side back if you do center it and add four, because really it's the center of the deck right now, they're only pushing out to 11 feet. I mean, you're gonna, I imagine they'd, push it out to 15. And it's like, do you start running into this? I'm not sure. But I think it's
Yeah.
more of like the position. Is it, given the current, the current deck, is it more the direction that it shouldn't, the bump out shouldn't start past the current.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but if I would suggest if the, excuse me, if the board, because one of the things that gets me a little concerned is when you start working on drawings and it's not really up on the board and the public isn't really seeing it, et cetera. But even then, it sounds like the direction of the board is probably not accepting the variance as proposed and suggesting there are options for modifying the deck, somewhat in its location, but more out of the setback. And I would
we're just gonna-
suggest, if that's the direction of the board, is opening back the public hearing and asking the applicant if they're interested in continuing this application and looking at modifying the design. Otherwise, you really have to just take action on the application before you.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Also, is this something that can be handled by staff if they pull it out of the allowed? Again, it can go to 19 feet,
Mhm.
it can project into the setback 6 feet. So if they do that and they figure out how they want to shape it, so they can get their nice big space, but get it out of there, can they do that with you?
They can, for the setback variance would then
Still good.
no longer be necessary, but since they are adding lot coverage, it would still require, that variance would still be required, which I'm unfortunately not able to approve.
So is it possible, you guys, then to, if we were to go in this direction, to approve the lot coverage variance to increase the deck to the size they're asking for, but to reject the side yard setback variance. And then they can come back, we've approved the lot coverage, they can come back and handle the rest of it with staff.
Well, it still is a design
Do that?
review application as well. So there are findings that are applicable to the final design. And these changes sound a little more substantive, given issues with the neighbors. I'd be concerned. Number one, if you want to take that direction and try to fashion a condition, and see if that's what the applicant wants to do.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is like, is it like if we kind of went kind of your way, if they just nip the corner, but then there's still a big deck right there that's a usable space. Cause I mean, there's the setback and the variance that's being asked, I guess, is one piece of it. The other one is like, are we okay with a deck that, is in that location of that size, whether it's in the setback or not, just from a design standpoint? Right, because there's only a kind of a corner that sticks in. So if they just wheel back just that little piece that's stuck in, but still had a big deck on that portion of the house, are we okay with that?
I don't think it materially changes. I mean, the whole property is above. They have a big outdoor space. I don't think the noise and the gathering impact personally is gonna be that much more with a larger second story deck versus what currently exists. I think it's more the privacy, the fact that now you don't have any privacy, you see your neighbors and things like that. That's where I'm more concerned about.
Yeah, and I guess I'm just saying that there is the potential still for an application that doesn't request a setback variance, but still has an impact on the neighbor.
So,
Because
yeah, you're
There-
saying if they just lopped it off.
they just lopped it, it's just like, hey, you make an odd shaped deck. So, hey, we're not asking for a variance or whatever, but there's still an area that looms over the neighbor's outdoor space, whereas they could still achieve the design objective of having a large, like just from a square footage standpoint, right? Still have the same square footage of their deck, right? Like the lot coverage that I think it sounds like we'd be able to make the findings for, but just put it in a different location that isn't impactful for the neighbor.
Which would,
Would
if you look at attachment 3, the photograph, let's see if that's, just the
Don't know.
photograph.
we might let them pull up the.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that one. Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. Is it on, Sam? Oh, there we go. So wait,
Back up.
so,
I don't know.
yeah, this is so narrow that you're right, they can't gather. So, because I've been in situations and it is, I mean, people do.
Make sure you're speaking in.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Everybody can-
I'm waiting for the screen to come up.
Trying to get it up.
You're right, that is impactful. I wasn't thinking that they would just lop it off. But they might.
I'm just saying, if we provided
might.
staff the guidance of just saying, hey, we're okay with anything that doesn't have
Like-
a,
I think if they just come out here centered on this, I know they'd like it off of there, but this way, the ability to create activity out there is centered
Yeah.
in their property and out of the setback.
And that's kind of where I was going with my original,
Yeah, like that.
probably butchered suggestion was like, if they keep this as a pathway,
Yeah.
as is,
Right.
Yeah.
and then you're literally just extending, you're going from, it's hard because
Keep
I
that.
don't think the measurements are here.
Come
Maybe
over here.
like, yeah, it's just literally here, and then you can have a dining table here instead of there. It's 6 feet
Yeah.
away,
I-
and then,
yeah, I mean, I think as long as we just say that the line that exists at that corner, the front left corner.
Sorry,
It's,
go on, sorry, Brian.
yeah, I was just saying, I think the front left corner, not that one, but or
you want
Sorry.
shot here. This corner right here, if we just said that like, hey, there exists this line that nothing can be built this way, and we let them put the exact same square footage of the deck and lot coverage variance, right?
Correct.
And they, as long as all that square footage is added to the right of the pointer.
That's a
Right.
great idea.
But they should be able to keep it what
Love
exists there because of the pathway, and I think that's important from the dining.
Right.
This little bit,
The 4 foot, not even, I don't even know if it's
the,
access.
yeah,
called
the,
access.
the deck as it exists outside the kitchen stays the same. And when it turns the 90 degrees along that line, it can extend out
Exactly.
the sufficient amount to net out to the same square footage that they're asking for now.
Exactly. So basically,
That's a great idea.
we'd be able to make the findings for the lot coverage. We wouldn't be able to make the findings for the setback variance. And then we'd let staff approve basically the same amount of square footage in the current application as long as it didn't extend left of that line.
Mhm.
And then that way they can, if they want to put a little bit more in the center, if they want to put some over on the side, like
think
let
that's
them kind
great.
of like, yeah.
I think that's a really good solution.
That's my one pause though, because I can't definitively say that you're not gonna breach. It's not scaled. I can't tell that you're not gonna breach go into the setback. You probably won't.
I mean, I think that the fact that we can't make the setback findings, right, means that they have to present a design that doesn't essentially create a additional variance.
And I have the pointer one more time, so we show what we're talking about. Okay, so down here, if you look at that, and that
That's 25.
dotted line is the 25, and they can go 6
6 feet
feet
after.
past that, which is going to be significantly, it's gonna be significantly further in. It's gonna be significantly deeper than the existing deck, is what I'm trying to say.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I think they would have plenty of room there to create a good outdoor
Yeah.
gathering place.
Seems like that says 4.5 or 8, which reaches that, so you can go 6 feet. So that
You
you're
can
adding
go-
10.5 feet.
You can
front
go,
turn.
and you can go 6 feet
6 feet.
this way. So you can go out to there if you want.
I think that's what Brian was saying though. Like,
No, I'm saying though, it's big enough.
It's big
Which
enough.
was your concern.
The other thing is if you're gonna spread that square footage across the entire front deck, it's not,
yeah.
it's gonna you're not gonna be able to come out that far.
Okay.
I think that's a good solution.
So I just want to make sure that staff is comfortable with where we're headed and that they would be able to approve a staff level approval based on our comments.
I have a couple questions just to
please.
clarify before there's a motion that's made. The applicant is raising their hand. Did you want to open the meeting to public comment to clarify anything with the applicant, or do you want to move forward with your?
You weren't here we did that last time.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with it.
We don't have to.
Opening for public comment for a specific reason.
So a few things. So sometimes we'll open it for public comment just to get like a date for a continuance. If we open it for public comment, and we address the applicant, then we'd also need to open it for the public. So then basically the neighbor would then also be able to speak. And then I've also seen this sometimes turned into like negotiating like design workshop sessions, which is not really what the intention is. Like, I think if there's something beyond this,
I thought we did it last meeting. I thought it worked well, but I'll defer to you.
We did. My concern with this too, though, is the applicant expressed very clearly a desire to move forward as quickly as possible. That it sounds to me, if we take this clear action, we have of denying the side yard, but allowing the other one and saying no further than that line, that's clear, decisive action that accommodates the needs of the
it
neighbor.
sounded like the applicant preferred that over a continuance. So,
His hand is down for what it's worth,
Uh,
though. And I think it sounded like you were on your way to making a motion. The only thing I wanted to put into the record, just because there is a lot coverage variance that is in question, as a point of clarification, we only count half the area of decks towards lot coverage. So it's an addition of 155 square feet of lot coverage, which equals 310 square feet of decking. So just kind of as a point of clarification, if the direction or the motion would be to add a condition to relocate the deck so it conforms with all required setbacks and 6-foot encroachment into the rear yard setback, and the lot coverage cannot exceed the proposed 155 square feet. That is.
Yeah, lot coverage, which is the 300 plus, yeah.
I think we wanted to be a little bit more prescriptive of, it's not just about the side yard setback,
Mhm.
but it is also that we cannot make the findings for the side yard setback, but we also, from a design review perspective, we are putting in condition that you cannot build past this line.
100% agree,
So I think
yes.
we have to.
I think,
Uh,
yeah.
So I guess is staff clear on the kind of the line that we want to make sure is not built? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
and it's the rear yard setback, just for
Okay, sorry.
clarification. No,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Yes, it is.
So, well, I won't, do you want me to say that back to you before you make your final motion?
Yeah, that would be great.
That the intent is, the intent of the condition of approval is to deny the requested rear yard setback, to approve a new deck that is no more than that adds no more than the requested 155 square feet of lot coverage, and that the new deck should be relocated towards the center of the existing deck location, and it would need to conform with all required setbacks and allowable encroachments,
And not
not extend
Not
further than the
extend.
existing.
whatever we call that.
Yeah, it would have to not extend. I think the intent is not to extend past the. And I think we need a descriptor of the edge of that deck.
How
and
about
it's- it's the west, it's the west side, north-south directional wall? I mean, the wall is running north-south, basically, You mean
on the west
the
side.
rail, that,
Railing, yeah,
that railing?
yeah, yeah.
Do you feel,
Just to be safe, sorry, I was
Yeah,
trying to
Yeah,
multitask and it
it's a little
didn't work.
confusing.
I'm gonna make this larger. If there's a way that one of the board members could come annotate that on the screen, just so there's direction for everyone at home
Right.
and something on record to say this is the line delineating where it cannot go.
Good idea.
Could I ask for a volunteer from the board to draw this on our,
on
on our computer? Yeah.
yeah.
Just as like a do not cross line, this is the, sorry, it's on here.
Yeah, basically. This. There, so
that line?
we agree with that that's the line? Or we agree with that's the line?
I'm trying to look at. this.
It's drawing on the mouse, it's like I drug it straight down and it
I would say you're trying to indicate that the deck could not extend any further westward than the northwest corner of the center portion of the existing deck.
That's exactly. Well done. All right. So do we need to restate all that, or can we basically just say as staff just noted?
I think we also have an audio recording of that, so I feel comfortable. I think with clear direction, we have a visual aid. I think you can move forward with making that motion.
Second?
All right, so I think say, yeah, you want to make the motion?
Yeah.
I think it might be good to simply restate in general that you're making a motion to deny the requested rear yard setback variance, approve the square footage, the coverage of 155 square feet, and that the new deck shall not extend beyond the western portion of the any further west of the southwest corner of the deck, of the center portion of the deck. Yeah.
Is your mic on?
Oops. Okay, so I move to deny the request for a rear yard setback variance and to approve the lot coverage amount, square footage, as it has been applied for
155.
of 155. And another condition of approval is that the deck the new addition of the deck does not extend past the westerly line of the existing deck.
The center portion.
Yeah, of the existing deck off the center of the house.
Second.
And then the project is categorized as a FSEQA.
And that it is categorically exempt from CEQA.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. With that, the motion passes.
All right.
And we move to the second and last item on this evening's agenda, which is the application for 4875 Paradise Drive. If the applicant could come forward, again, you have 20 minutes or up to 20 minutes to present, and then we'll also open it up to public for this application.
Great, thank you. Good evening, board members. My name is Michael Jones. I'm a resident at 4875 Paradise Drive in Tiburon. And I was just going to give a brief overview of the purpose of the project. And our architect is here tonight to walk through a PowerPoint and with some photographs and designs to answer technical questions. This is a small project that's in the interior courtyard, the backside of our house, opposite the driveway in Tiburon and Paradise Drive. The purpose for the project is currently when we pull into our garage with our dogs, we have to walk through the living room to get to the rest of the house. Oh, I'll leave this for her. And bringing mud and debris and it's not a functional feature of the house. And the garage is only separated from the kitchen by a wall, and a new door would connect the garage to the kitchen. It also would provide an expanded pantry. The current pantry is extremely small, really dysfunctional. Also, it includes installing a sauna and a tub for health reasons. I suffer from asthma. My wife has knee problems, and we've been told that the dry heat from a sauna would be beneficial for our health. And it would include removing a tree that's very close to our house per PG&E, within a couple feet of our house. We've contacted immediate neighbors and got letters of support, which should be on file. It does not impact any water views, and it conforms with the design of the current house. And with that, I'll turn it over to our architect.
Hello, board members. I'm Laura Caroline from Frederick Devine Architects in San Rafael. We can go to the next slide that shows the site plan. Okay, so I've tried to outline in yellow the constraints that we have with the property. We've got a Paradise Drive at the top. is actually like an easement. The property goes to, into, like, to the center line of Paradise Drive. And then there's a road on the side that is also an easement. The property was originally developed, when it was unincorporated and under the Marin County, zoning regulations. The two easements on the property limit development on the property, and the requested variance for a lot coverage is minor in nature. The property slopes up steeply behind the residence, and there's limited area to construct additions elsewhere that do not encroach into property setbacks. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the property is currently developed with established setbacks and lot coverage. A lot coverage variance of 3% is requested to allow construction of the mudroom, laundry area, and covered porch. As the existing residence already exceeds the lot coverage by 1.5%, any new additions would exceed the lot coverage requirement. The proposed addition meets other zoning requirements, including setbacks, floor area ratio, and building height. Next slide. Okay, so the proposed construction is limited to the rear of the house and behind the garage and adjacent to the kitchen area. The remainder of the residence is to remain as existing. The area of a proposed addition is infill and will not encroach any closer to the rear property line than the existing garage. Next slide. The proposed addition is 314 square feet and consists of the mudroom and laundry area that connects to the adjacent garage on one side and the kitchen on the other. And the other area is has a covered porch that includes a site-built sauna and outdoor tub. Next slide. The addition materials are to match that of the existing residence. Wood shingles that meet WUI fire requirements will be used to match the existing siding. Roof pitch and roof covering of the proposed addition are to match that of the existing residence. Retaining wall of 5 feet is needed along the south exterior wall adjacent to the existing hillside behind the residence. Next slide. So we've included additional photos of these existing conditions. So we've got the existing rear patio that's going to remain at the proposed addition. And on the right is the existing patio at the proposed addition. It's kind of an unused area that's kind of beyond where the living area is. Next slide. And this is like a close-up view of the existing the garage wall at the proposed addition, and then the adjacent south wall at the proposed addition. And this is a view looking behind the property that shows the steep slope. And then the other slide is from the top of the property that shows that the existing vegetation kind of obscures the view of the house, and the house is below the hill. So that's the extent of our presentation. We're available to ask questions.
All right, thank you.
Answer
Any
questions.
questions from the board before we, all right. With that, then, thank you. We'll open it up to the public. If anybody wishes to speak on this project, please come forward. Also, if you're on the Zoom call and wish to speak about this application, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the Zoom screen.
I see no hands on Zoom.
All right, with that, you technically have 5 additional minutes. if you would like to address anything, you have 5 additional minutes, but since you didn't use all your minutes up the first time and there wasn't any comment, then you can just say nothing else to add.
No, I mean, we feel it's a very simple, straightforward project, so we didn't, we just was trying to, do a presentation that was just, simple and to the point. So.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. With that, we'll close it to the public and bring it back to the board. Would you like to lead us off this time, Alex?
Yeah, I think it's like the applicant said, pretty simple. I can understand and make the findings for the variance. So I'm fully supportive of the draft resolution.
Yeah, I went over there. I was able to go back and wander around. It's a great opportunity. I think it's a thoughtfully designed mudroom. It's going to be super helpful, and the cold plunge and sauna, it's great, and it has absolutely no impact on neighbors. So fully support it.
Excellent. I'm in agree with both my board members and can also make the findings for the variance. So with that, I think we'd be looking for a motion to approve the draft resolution as adopted.
Motion
As
to
drafted.
adopt the draft resolution and note that it's categorically exempt from CEQA.
And do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. And with that, the draft resolution is adopted. The motion passes. And it brings us to the end of our meeting this evening and adjournment. Thank you, everyone.